everybody, it's your old buddy Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Guys, today's date is, everybody, my name is Rich Frasconi, and I'm here to introduce you to Who's Telling the Truth, the show where we want to dig into the media's questions and find out if they're being factual or fictional. We need your help. We need to find out who's telling the truth. Hey everybody, it's your old buddy Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Guys, today's date is 8/27. Next Monday will be Labor Day. We won't be here. So what we'll do is we'll probably air the show again. And the name of this show is Pecker-Gate. And guys, you're going to say, wait a minute, Rich, what are you talking about? Well, guys, the chairman and CEO of American media is David Pecker. And he prints stuff like the National Enquirer, the Star, the Sun, and the Globe. Well, anyway, guys, David has decided to turn coat and become a turncoat, and he's going to spill the beans on Trump. And guys, he's been granted immunity, and from what I understand, he's got a safe full of stuff on Trump. So guys, this is going to be a lot of fun. But we're going to start the show by showing you mini clips of what we're going to show on the show. So Judy, the first clip we're going to play is, guys, the first clip is Chris Ponte and Kevin Gallagher. They were on a show called Time Out. Kevin Gallagher does it. And guys, I heard Chris say this, and I thought to myself, you know, most people realize that I'm an atheist. But I tell you what, after listening to Chris Ponte, I might have a change of heart. I know, guys, don't go berserk. Don't go berserk. But let's listen to what Chris said. So Judy, hit us with oh, please. Hit it.
Donald Trump, yeah, he is, and I'm looking right in the camera now, boys and girls. He's sent by God himself to do a work in this country to literally and spiritually drain the swamp.
Okay, guys, so you heard it, didn't you? You heard Chris Ponte say that he felt that God appointed Trump. Well, guys, you know what? Chris might be right. He just might be right. Because maybe God appointed Trump to expose through all his lies and deceit. Maybe God appointed Trump to spill out all these lies and everything to expose the Republican Party. And guys, that's what I think. If there's a God, that's the one reason why he would have appointed Trump. For only one reason, to expose the Republican Party. So guys, what does that remind you of? If he wants to drain the swamp, Judy, can we have still number 01, please?
Board President Trump ought to hope that the businesses were conducted entirely above board. Or if there are minor violations, they're corporate violations, not personal violations.
Guys, so you heard Dershowitz, right? Alan Dershowitz, who spends a lot of time on Fox News going to bat for Trump. And what did he say? He said he better hope, the people that support Trump better hope that his business was conducted above board. Well, guys, Where did Donald Trump lose the most money? Above the boards of the boardwalk in Atlantic City, right? He bankrupted 4 casinos. The guy can't run a casino and win with the house's money, and he expects to run the government? And this is the problem, guys. So anyway, you would say that the only way that we can find out if Trump is telling the truth or not is to do what? Is to have somebody fact check him. So Judy, let's get a little taste of what the fact checking will do, and we'll see, if Trump's got everything ass backwards. So Judy, number 4, please.
Since I made these payments, it doesn't constitute a campaign violation. But he has it all backwards. Because he made these payments,
he has it all backwards.
It is a
Kurt,
campaign
you're too
finance
loud.
violation because they were supposed to be disclosed if they were part of a campaign. They were not disclosed. In fact, they tried to cover it up.
Okay. So you see, guys, if they tried to cover it up, I mean, we're really talking about some serious stuff here, But you know what? Let's take it one step further and let's listen to Chris Cuomo. Guys, here's another little tidbit from Kellyanne Conjob and Donald Trump, and they say it as only they can say it. So Judy, let's have number 5, please.
He knows what he knew.
Only he knows what he believes?
No,
Only he knows what he believes. Is that another Trumpism? And I mean, how many times, how many different ways has Kellyanne Conjob given us the double reverse with her Trumpisms? They just make stuff up. Alternate facts. When she said that, I almost fell alternate facts. Oh, come on. Don't insult us that way, please. But guys, people get blamed for things, and who gets blamed? It's always the liberals' fault, right? So we're going to show you, we're going to do a clip later on plastic in the ocean, and we're going to show you a little clip from Mark Morano, and the plastic ban is due to liberals. So Judy, deep breath, number 6.
So to make a long story short here,
Beautiful.
the plastic ban is now going into effect because the liberals seem to think it's the worst thing on earth.
All right, guys, they seem to be on a roll now. And the next clip we're going to give you a taste of is Hassan the Hun. And guys, I tell you, he does a beautiful clip. We'll play the whole clip. But this is tapping into primal fear. You know how we always say on the show, Fox News is always selling what? Hate and fear. What better way to get somebody to do something than to scare the shit out of them, right, guys? So that's what they want to do. And that's why they want to make sure that they protect your Second Amendment rights so that you can have guns, so that you can protect yourself, so that when the invasion comes, come on, guys, let's be honest with each other. So anyway, let's see what happens when your primal fears are triggered. Judy, number 7, please.
For you, it's certainly not about the facts. It's just about tapping into the primal fears of your fan base so they'll go out and vote Republican.
It's not about the facts. It's not about what's real. It's about what's Republican. And guys, we say that so often. And we're going to get back to our 2 good buddies on timeout. And guys, you're going to hear this phrase a lot. You can't make this stuff up. So Judy, let's prove my point with clip number 8, please.
And I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. It's that That's the lunacy.
We've become Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Guys, the problem is you can make up whatever you want. And these boneheads will sit there and they'll buy it. And guys, I don't mean to insult you, because I'm not insulting you. Chris, I'm not insulting you. Kevin, I'm not insulting you. I'm insulting your ideas. And the fact that you have a talk show, but yet you don't have a call-in. What are you afraid of? What are you trying to hide? If you want to be a service to the community, put a phone in. Judy, can we put our phone number up? Anybody want to say anything? Hey, I'm here. I am here. You know? And let's see, where are we now? So guys, when you can't make this stuff up, this brings us to our Beetlejuice moment. And this is from InfoWars. So Judy, clip number 9, please.
Call me crazy, call me a conspiracy theorist. Call me crazy, call me a conspiracy theorist. Call me crazy, call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to show you.
You're going to show us? It's showtime. Guys, I love it. So now, this kicks off the alternate universe part of the show. And guys, we're going to have some fun going to a Trump rally, and we're going to listen to the people online. And guys, we're going to say if we're going to ask the question, and this is the important question. This comes from Alex Jones InfoWars, and we're going to ask the questions, do male frogs the male frogs have sex with other male frogs? Guys, I'm telling you, the answer's coming up. Number 10. So, Judy, hit it.
Okay, let me just make sure I understand the frog thing. In a laboratory, they turn frogs gay, right? Not in the streams and rivers?
No, you don't have to take the frogs gay so literally, but it was just a bit that he did on the show, and it was like...
There was certain water where these frogs had chemicals put in there, and they chose not to mate with the female frogs. They didn't need to mate anymore.
They stopped obeying their biology.
Yeah.
Did they mate with each other? Did the male frogs mate with each other?
Guys, that's the question of the night. Do the male frogs mate with each other? And can you believe this? This is the type of nonsense that Alex Jones is propagating. And guys, we're going to have a lot of fun because we're going to play. We're going to play the full clip so we can really have a lot of fun. And then, guys, after that, the dominoes are just going to start to fall. So let's have a little more fun with the frog people. Guys, you're hearing it like I heard it. I'm telling you. And the one girl says at one point, she goes, well, you know, what do you think we are, a bunch of hillbillies? Yeah. Uncle Joey, Uncle Ken Johnson. Oh, Ken, maybe you better not watch this clip. Kenny lives in Kentucky or Arkansas. I don't know where he lives. But anyway, if he finds out all the frogs are gay, who knows what might happen. So, Judy, clip number 13. 13, Judy.
Okay, let me just make sure I understand the frog thing. In a laboratory, they turn frogs gay, right? Not in the streams and rivers?
No, you don't have to take the frogs gay so literally, but it was just a bit that he did on the show, and it was like...
There was certain water where these frogs had chemicals put in there, and they chose not to mate with the female frogs. They didn't need to mate anymore.
They stopped obeying their biology.
Yeah.
Did they mate with each other? Did the male frogs mate with each other?
Now that I'm not sure of. Like I said, it was, he said it's making the frogs gay. It drew my attention to the study, so it's just one of those things. It's like a headliner. It's like a headliner.
Can you imagine this?
It's how he gets your attention, and then you can actually look into the issue. But like I said, I don't necessarily believe the frogs were turning gay. Maybe they were just not interested in the
but there was
females.
something going on that was changing their
Maybe they
their
had
biology
ugly
to do
female
this,
frogs.
to do this,
You
to
ever
do
think
this,
of
and it
that?
completely flipped when the chemicals got introduced. And instead of anyone looking into that, it was just shot down immediately because Alex Jones said it, or because it was on InfoWars. And I think a lot of things he overreacts. Don't get me wrong, because he likes it a lot more than I do. I think he is sarcastic. Yeah, it's an entertainment thing mostly, but. Facts are facts on certain things, and if you can debate those with me, then that's great. But if you're just going to scream because it's not what you want to hear, that doesn't get anyone's message across. That doesn't do anything.
Okay, well let's try with the frogs, because I really don't care if frogs are gay.
To each his own, right?
Okay, but I think maybe the people who are concerned about fellow human beings being gay and they don't want fellow human beings who are gay to have the same rights that they have, that they might listen to the story.
Say that I don't care if they have that. They're their own person.
The point is you have a choice. If you want, okay, so if the government is gonna say you have a choice to do whatever you want in your life, well, that's fine. But what I believe what the story that we were talking about gets at is if the government is putting chemicals and such into your water, then they take that choice away. You know what I mean? They're not making it a choice.
They're weeding you out. They're making you into what they want you to be, or they're putting you into, if they're giving you the certain chemicals that change your biology or change the way that you would naturally react, or a human body would react as your own person or as your own thought, and it takes that away from you and makes you do something else because of this chemical, it's not your choice.
I know that would be terrible, but is Alex Jones saying that that's actually happening?
Yes.
Alex Jones is saying that you shouldn't always, believe the first story that your government comes out with, and I agree with that.
Is it a metaphor, or is he saying don't drink the water?
Basically, he's saying filter your water. Fluoride is good. However, not all variants of fluoride are good.
Even as you laugh and kind of mock us with this,
I'm not laughing at you. I'm not. I can't believe the story.
But we're interested in hearing your side too. It's not just we're some dumb, stupid hillbillies from West Virginia, but you understand the first thing you did was laugh and shake your head.
No, only when I Sorry, I apologize.
You should, because that was rude. I don't mean to embarrass you.
I shake my head. I'm sorry. Okay.
But if you want someone to understand your point of view or agree with you or listen to hear, you have to respect them as they're respecting you as well.
It's not that I disrespect you. I really apologize, and thank you for spending the time.
Somebody said that, or somebody was accusing frogs of being gay. It's not even the thing about frogs being gay. It's about the chemicals and what chemicals do to your body, and if it gives you the choice of freedom of your own thought, or if it's because of these chemicals that you're taking.
I don't know, guys. The next show we might have to call it Frog-Gate. I mean, who knows what they're putting in the water, right? Kenny, you've been looking awful cute on Facebook lately. I don't know. Maybe they put something in the water. How do you believe stuff like this? And guys, the reason why people believe stuff like this, it's because of people like the Foxstitutes that they have on Fox News. And who's one of the newest Foxstitutes? And the story twisters? We did a couple of clips on her, but here's another one. Guys, let's have some fun with Hassan the Hun and Tommy. She calls herself Tommy. So Judy, number 14, please.
Hey, liberals, you want to talk about child separation?
Oh boy.
How about this? 20-year-old college student Molly Tibbetts has been violently and permanently separated from her parents at the hands of an illegal immigrant.
What happened to Molly is an awful tragedy, and I hope justice is served. But there is no justification for the horrifically dehumanizing conditions the Trump administration put all immigrants through way before what happened to Molly happened.
Yeah, I have some final thoughts.
Tommy, who was notoriously silent in the aftermath of the Nia Wilson death, got really excited to cover the death of this white girl who died in the hands of a brown illegal immigrant. You were in such a hurry, Tommy, to cover this ongoing story right after it was revealed that the suspect was undocumented that you didn't even take that ugly-ass fedora off to go off, Queen.
That's right. Yet another young person has been murdered by an illegal immigrant.
Like, this is it. This is what gets Tilapia out of bed every morning. Do not allow this tragedy to be exploited to indict all immigrants. Follow the example of Molly's family members, who have already started bravely retaliating against these dead-eyed sociopathic freaks who got her comeuppance earlier yesterday.
This time a 24-year-old illegal immigrant from Mexico who's been living in the area illegally for 4 to 7 years. Maybe one of Nancy Pelosi's dreamers, huh?
First of all, the guy worked for a Republican. Secondly, he's not a dreamer. The requirements for DACA are incredibly rigid. You had to come to this country as a minor, along with a clean track record. Why would you throw 800,000 fellow U.S. citizens under the bus for a crime committed by an unrelated person? Well, probably because this isn't about arriving at the truth or justice. For you, it's certainly not about the facts. It's just about tapping into the primal fears of your fan base so they'll go out and vote Republican.
If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. Or maybe you're one of the liberal types who spend the next 2 weeks defending this illegal immigrant murderer.
Which liberal types are defending murder? Name one. I'll wait.
It's already begun. These liberals are going out of their way to distract or completely ignore the fact the killer isn't illegal.
Why does it matter whether he was illegal or not? He's a murderer. Why do you try to actively blame an entire group of people who had nothing to do with this crime at all? I didn't hear any of you Fox News types screeching about sending all white people to jail when that white supremacist psychopath executed Nia Wilson, a young black girl in Oakland last month. I didn't see wall-to-wall coverage of that, and I certainly didn't blame all white people.
They're already pulling out all the examples of white American men who have committed horrific crimes. Well, hold up. Illegal immigration isn't a race, it's an activity. So trying to point out all the white people who have murdered doesn't make your case.
Nobody tell Tommy that natural-born Americans commit crimes, and especially murders, at way higher rates than legal and illegal immigrants, since she's only exploiting this tragic death for racial agitation. All the hysteria surrounding criminal activity and immigrants is, simply put, Republican propaganda.
And furthermore, yeah, we have American citizens who murder, that's true. That's why we don't need to deal with it from people who have no legal right to be here in the first place.
Well, Tommy, your ancestors were illegal immigrants, and since illegal immigration isn't a race but an activity, they have no right to be here in the first place either. As a matter of fact, America was built by people who had no right to be here. This is such a stupid conversation.
Illegal immigration, weak borders, and weak border enforcement kill Americans, period.
It's like saying fireworks kill Americans, falling out of bed kills Americans, everything kills Americans. This immigration argument is simply a matter of what you choose to spend your time on and what political purpose is guiding your rhetoric. And for you, it's the negative and deeply damaging portrayal of immigrants, especially brown ones. Since the 80s, immigration has increased 109%, while all kinds of crime have dropped. There's 100 plus years of empirical evidence from over thousands of studies proving conclusively that immigrants, both documented and undocumented, commit crimes at way lower rates. So what Tommy is spewing here is just xenophobia. It's good old-fashioned American racism. It's not exactly new either. It's the same exact kind of thinking that indicted all black people for the crimes of a few. I'm Hassan Piker, and if this angers you, please share this video with your friends, and also please don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you want to continue this conversation, I'm live every day on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Hassanabi from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific, and this has been The Breakdown.
Guys, that's the narrative. That's the agenda that Fox News wants to perpetuate. They want to pass that idea on, that the illegal immigrant is more dangerous than two of Trump's top men pleading guilty. And guys, they both pled guilty. Cohen and let's see, who was the other? Kurt, who was the other guy? Cohen and what?
Manafort was convicted on 8 counts.
Okay, that's right. He was convicted. Very good. Thanks, Kurt. So anyway, guys, what happens is Fox News leads with this, and you've got people like Kevin and like Chris that watch Fox News, and what happens? The first thing in the morning, bada bing, they get hit with the hate and the fear. The immigrants, the illegal immigrants are coming to get us. Where's my guns? So guys, the next clip we're going to show you, Chris and Kevin, and notice they don't have a call-in number. I don't know what they're afraid of. But Judy, number 15, please.
And you made a great point that without knowledge of the Word of God, today's events are going to seem so chaotic. But with the overlay of Bible prophecy, we can understand why things are happening the way
Chris,
they are.
sit down and read your Bible,
in this
please.
country, it starts first and foremost with our president. what they've been trying to do to stick a collusion charge on him or obstruction charge. Just yesterday, Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort had their day in court, and the left is going crazy, like, oh my God, we're this close to getting him impeached, but it has nothing to do with Donald Trump, but we've all become third graders.
We don't want pension.
You know, that's what we've become. We hear what they tell us on CNN and MSNBC, and we parrot it, and we're waiting for the day
you must
that we
be
get
talking
our
Uncle
president
Joey.
Impeached.
He
This is
speaks
never
your
going to
language.
going on. It's not going to happen because he didn't do anything wrong.
Never going to happen. You know,
he didn't do anything wrong.
I talked about Monday night on the radio, but also with you off the air, and I've talked with this with other people, is, for lack of a better word, my working theory about Trump and what's going on is, if you notice, you can't turn around without them talking about impeachment, about that they're hammering them left and right. And I mean, I had seen on Drudge Report, for example, there was one liberal member of Congress that wanted to impeach him because he felt that he hugged Vladimir Putin too hard. And I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up.
You can make it up, and you do all
that's the
the
lunacy.
time.
We've become Neanderthals.
Yeah, and so what happens is they're grasping at straws. They're beating him up. And Trump can more than defend himself. He's very capable of doing that, but he's not really. He'll do, you know, this. Somebody punches him, he taps him like this, just to, you know, he'll do like, you know, yeah, whatever. I'll acknowledge that you attacked me, but I think the strategy is let him be attacked, create the sympathy, because you're looking at Hispanics, blacks, other racial minority groups that have the highest the highest percentages of people working in those groups.
Look at Chris just sitting there nodding his head.
Or at least as long as they've been keeping those stats.
One lies and the other swears to it. And guys, it's a shame. These are two grown men. They can look this stuff up. They can go to the internet. They can find out that the globe is warming. They can find out that 83% of the tax cuts goes to the 1%. This is common knowledge. But what do? They defend Trump. Why? I don't know why. Because he's the tribal leader. Is their tribe under attack? You know, you're going to circle the wagons and protect each other? By how? By lying with Trump? By defending what he says? Is this what you're going to do? Well, you know, Chris, like you said, you know, maybe God put Trump in office to expose the Republican Party. And the next clip is we're going to show you is from ABC. And as far as I'm concerned, ABC is kind of impartial, because even you heard Chris say MSNBC and CNN. So we'll take a look at what ABC had to say about David Pecker and the fact that just about everybody and their brother is turning on Trump, except for Uncle Joey and Ken Johnson and Eddie Shaluk. But Ronald Smith has changed suit. We're going to play a clip from him later. Yeah, Ron's singing a different tune now. Hey, some of the smarter, simple folk will say, wait a minute. I'm not going to deal with this nonsense anymore. Now, you insulted my intelligence enough. You lied to me enough, Trump. I've had it. We're divorced. I don't want to have nothing to do with you and your party. And guys, let's see how ABC handled it. And hey, they're putting the cards on the table. I'm just presenting it. So, Judy, let's have some fun. Clip 16, please.
We begin tonight with what is fast becoming one of the worst weeks for President Trump since he took office. One of his closest longtime friends turning on the president, a man he's known for more than a decade, David Pecker, CEO of the company that owns the National Enquirer, cutting an immunity deal in the Michael Cohen case. A source telling ABC News he helped prosecutors investigating Cohen and hush money payments for 2 women during the campaign. Cohen pleading guilty to campaign finance violations, claiming he was acting at the direction of President Trump. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leads us off.
He's been friends with President Trump for more than a decade.
He ain't friends
David
no
Pecker,
more.
publisher of the National Enquirer, has now been granted immunity in exchange for his cooperation with prosecutors. A source telling ABC News, Pecker has told investigators he worked with President Trump's former fixer and personal attorney Michael Cohen to buy the silence of women who claim to have had affairs with Trump, and that Trump knew about the deals.
Michael, what's your message to the president?
Cohen pleaded guilty earlier this week, admitting his role in the scheme, which he claims was directed by the president himself. Prosecutors say the plan to protect Trump began in 2015, just after the billionaire launched his campaign. They say Pecker, in coordination with Cohen and one or more members of the campaign, offered to help deal with negative stories about Trump's relationships with women, specifically assisting the campaign in identifying such stories so they could be purchased and their publication avoided, a practice known as catch and kill. A year later, the Inquirer publisher bought the story of Karen McDougal, our former Playboy playmate, who claimed to have had an affair with Trump.
Were you in love with him?
I was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And do you think he was in love with you?
He was, yeah.
The McDougal story never ran in the tabloid. Cohen says he worked with Pecker to bury it, operating at the request of the candidate for the principal purpose of influencing the election. Cohen later secretly recorded a conversation with Trump, where they seemingly discussed buying the rights to McDougal's story from Pecker's company.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David. You know, so that I'm going to do that right away.
The source tells ABC News Pecker told prosecutors he also worked with Cohen to buy the silence of porn star Stormy Daniels, and that Trump knew about that deal too. The president's own story has been changing for months. This is what he told Fox News this week.
Did you know about the payments?
Later on, I knew. Later on.
And the president, furious, Cohen has now turned against him.
Everything's wonderful, and then they get 10 years in jail, and they flip on whoever the next highest one is, or as high as you can go. It almost ought to be outlawed. It's not fair.
With the political and legal implications growing, the president asked about the prospect of impeachment.
I don't know how you can impeach somebody who's done a great job. I'll tell you what, if I ever got impeached, I think the market would crash. I think everybody would be very poor.
All right, Pierre Thomas joins us now live from Washington. And Pierre, I want to go back to that immunity deal with David Pecker. We know prosecutors already have documents from the publisher of the National Enquirer.
That's right, Tom. Tonight, the Associated Press is reporting that the Enquirer had a safe full of documents related to Trump. The question tonight is whether those documents are in the hands of federal investigators.
Pierre Thomas with that stunning headline tonight. Pierre, thank you.
Uh-oh. What do you think, guys? Don't look good, right? But, you know, how could we really find out who's right about this? How about if we went to the fact checkers? And guys, the next clip, the Washington Post fact-checked Trump and this whole menagerie of buffoonery. And you know what? They hardly ever use the term lie. They try to use 4 Pinocchios and that kind of, but because of Trump, they will now start using the term lie. Hey, you got somebody that's gone out of his way to dupe. You got the principal con man that pulled one of the greatest cons in this is the greatest con in the history of the world. The fact that he's the president. The fact that he was able to trick enough of the people like Uncle Joey. Oh, and guys, Uncle Joey's not coming on the show. No. I said we were going to talk about facts and global warming, and he's not going to do it. He doesn't want to talk about facts and reality. Now, he wants to come on the show and just make stuff up. And I said, Joe, I need time to disprove you. No, he doesn't want to do that. But guys, one of the things that the Republican Party is afraid of is facts. And why? Oh, and I'm in a battle with some yo-yo on Facebook. And I said to him, just like I said to Uncle Joey, you know, you're such a global warming denier. Can you post me a chart that shows the globe isn't warming? Just post a chart. I'll shut up. You'll never hear another word from me again. Post a chart. This invitation's open to anybody. Post a chart that proves to me that the globe isn't warming, and I'll shut up forever. Sound like a deal? Judy, let's timestamp this right now. Uncle Rich just made a promise to everybody. But I also made a promise that we were going to check some facts. So, Judy, number 17, please.
Did you know about the payments?
Later on, I knew. Later on. But you have to understand, Ainsley, what he did, and they weren't taken out of campaign finance. That's a big thing. That's a much bigger thing.
It wasn't
Did they come out of the
taken out of
campaign? They didn't come out
finance?
of the campaign. They came from me, and I tweeted about it.
For the 11 years the fact checker has been in existence, we've been hesitant ever to use the word lie. We say things are false or misleading. And a big reason for that is because we cannot get into someone's head and determine whether or not they knew what they were saying was untrue. That's why we've stuck with 4 Pinocchios. But we're making an exception here.
We're making an exception. They can admit that, Trump.
President Trump has posed a significant challenge for us here at the Fact Checker.
Significant
We have
challenge.
documented that he has now said more than 4,000 false and misleading things. And there are many of these things are statements that he has repeatedly said, even though they have been fact-checked as false. So
Yeah, why
we
does he
had
do that?
still hesitated about using the word lie with respect to Mr. Trump, except in this case that it is very clear when you go through the records that he said things that he knew at the time were false and has now been shown that to be the case in federal court.
Why did Michael Cohen make this if there was no allegation?
You have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
When President Trump denied the payments on Air Force One, that was really the first time he personally had spoken about it. And he said 3 statements, all untrue. He said he didn't know anything about the payments. He directed everything towards Michael Cohen and said, you have to ask Michael Cohen what's going on here. And then he said he didn't know how Michael Cohen got the funds for the payments. But it turns out President Trump did know about the payments, and he reimbursed Michael Cohen. After months of denial, his main lawyer, his chief lawyer, stood up in federal court yesterday and said that he did these acts at the direction of President Trump.
In fact, my first question when I heard about it was, did they come out
In the Fox interview today, President Trump is trying to pass it off as saying, since I paid for it, since I made these payments, it doesn't constitute a campaign violation. But he has it all backwards. Because he made these payments,
He has it all backwards.
it is a campaign finance
Oh, yeah?
violation because they were supposed to be disclosed if they were part of a campaign. They were not disclosed. In fact, they tried to cover it up. Furthermore, he didn't make all of these payments. One of these payments was made by the company that runs the National Enquirer. And in the Cohen pleading, they described how there had been a meeting shortly after Trump decided to run for president in which the National Enquirer publisher agreed to basically pay women off to get their stories and then not publish anything about them. The whole evolution of how this story has unfolded shows that the president knew about the payments, was involved in discussions about the payments, and yet went out to the American people and said he didn't know about the payments. They were just payments made by Cohen were as part of a legal retaining fee, and now all of that has been shown to be incorrect. And he surely must have known it at the time. President Trump earns 4 Pinocchios, and we are labeling these statements a lie.
We are labeling these statements a lie. But guys, I love using this term, ass backwards, because it's amazing how the Republicans get everything ass backwards. Like Ken Johnson said that we were talking about McCain casting the vote that actually kept Obamacare alive. And what did Ken Johnson say? The exact opposite. And guys, I love the fact that on Facebook they have to put what they say in print. This way you can hold them to account, and when the guy says something that proves he's homeschooled, Guess what? That's what I call them, homeschooled. And people say, oh, Richard, that's not fair of you. Hey, guys, you know what? That's if I call you homeschooled, that means I don't think very much about your education, okay? I mean, I'm sure there's some homeschooled kids that are geniuses, but those are few and far between. Is that 18? Thank you. I'll let this out, Judy. Don't worry about it.
For the president, I get that is an enticing question, but there's
Volume,
something that concerns me much more, in fact, and that is how the president handled things this week. He fully transitioned into mob boss mode. You could literally find his echo in a Gotti or his gangster of choice Capone or even a Corleone. His bashing of the Justice Department is run by crooks and out to get people without cause. His perverse notion that getting a mobster for tax evasion is a cop-out when they're suspected of even worse crimes. Think about that. Our president poo-poos Capone's convictions because they never got him for murder. Then came the real WTF moment for me.
I know all about flipping. For 30, 40 years, I've been watching flippers. Everything's wonderful, and then they get 10 years in jail, and they flip on whoever the next highest one is, or as high as you can go. It almost ought to be outlawed.
Did you really just say that? Yes, and it wasn't the first time. He didn't misspeak. It wasn't just a hot moment. He has referred to cooperators as rats, just like gangsters do. I have literally only heard the notion he just introduced, that flipping shouldn't be allowed, from people complaining to me over the years about why they shouldn't be in jail as gangsters. Now remember who this man was before he was president and what he promised you when he wanted the nomination.
I will work with and appoint the best and brightest prosecutors and law enforcement officials to get the job properly done. In this race for the White House, I am the law and order candidate.
He won and took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Not to puncture, pummel, and desecrate the Constitution. Why do I use such pejoratives? Because the government's ability to use pressure to get people involved in criminal activity, to give up bigger aspects and players, is fundamental to just about every major investigation. How would you get drug kingpins, mobsters, white-collar crooks, if you don't have the ability to develop a case by working your way up the chain, in part with cooperators? Now, can you complain about how they do it and whether it's genuine and whether people are doing it too often? Of course. But for Trump to question the existence of the tool shows ignorance of the reality, an ignoring of his oath and position, and a flashing red light of insecurity as someone who seems to fear that other people could be a problem for them. Now, support for that last part of the argument. Timing. He said this nonsense about getting rid of flippers Wednesday to his Fox friends. Thursday, Pecker flipped, given immunity to tell the truth about what Trump knew and what he did with Cohen to perhaps violate campaign laws. And today, his longest advisor, his CFO, Weisselberg, given immunity, and who knows what he knows. Certainly, this is the closest investigators have gotten to Trump. Coincidence in this timing? You know what? Maybe. Maybe, to be fair, maybe Cohen flipping, pleading guilty, saying what he said about Trump directing his actions. That could have been enough for Trump to decide to attack one of the foundations of criminal prosecution, despite being the man charged with protecting the same process. Regardless, him musing about outlawing cooperation right when three close confidants and maybe co-conspirators decide to tell the truth to the government. And remember, none of their deals protect them from perjury, so they lie, the deal dies. So all of this makes me worry about what our president might do to protect that which matters to him most, apparently, himself. The best advice remains the same, Mr. President. Surrender the me to the we. If you have nothing to hide, let the process play out. Show your respect for the institution.
Surrender the me to the we. Can you, and I tell you, he's going to have to do something. But, on this show, the one thing that we try to do is we try to stay fair and balanced. So we're going to play you a clip from Fox and Friends with Alan Dershowitz. And guys, just listen, and listen how they're going to try to trick the simple folk into thinking that what Trump is doing is okay. So Judy, let's have clip number 19, please.
If I'm an independent businessman who's ever thought about running, I'm never doing this because, as you said, you can look through all your things and find something.
Look, the biggest crime you can commit in America today is to have been associated with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If you're associated with Donald Trump, they're going to Manafort you, they're going to Cohen you, they're going to do all of these things to you, and they're going to look hard, and they're going to search, and they're going to stretch. And, maybe they'll find something, maybe they won't. Is anybody really Caesar's wife above all reproach? I think the only people who are going to run for office now are going to be independently wealthy people who don't have to rely on their businesses, or people who come from backgrounds where there is no vulnerability at all. But businessmen are going to be deterred from running for office because they know it's going to result in a kind of legal colonoscopy of everything they've done from the day they started out in business. And they're going to go beyond the statute of limitations because they're going to allege RICO violations. I've been through this. They usually do it with the mafia. It's the Al Capone approach. If we can't get them on the grounds that we'd really like to get them on, let's go after them on taxes. Let's go after them on business. It's targeting people. And if they can target President Trump, they can target you. They can target anyone. Well, that's the problem.
Alan, as you were talking about the Southern District of New York, the U.S. attorney there, can't, the president may not have legal peril there, but what about his family? Because his family currently is running the business.
His family, his friends, his business, they can go after the money in his business. They can start attaching assets. That's what the U.S. Attorney's Office often does when they're going after a business person. They're going to try to flip more witnesses. And remember, as Judge Ellis said, when you flip a witness, the witness may not only sing, he may compose, he may elaborate and come up with more stories. And then you go and search every document and you find one problem in a little document. And suddenly we're into RICO land where you can go back 10 years. You can take all the money they've earned over that period of time. Nobody, as Learned Hand once said, short of surgery, the one thing he would fear the most is an investigation of this kind.
Does the Southern District of New York have a boss?
There's a boss. The boss is recused in the case, and most of the people who are looking into this are civil servants.
But it's not Russia.
Well, there's no Russia investigation.
So why
here.
doesn't the Attorney General crack down?
Well, the Attorney General could. Well, the question really is, it's an interesting one that you pose. The Attorney General has recused himself because of Russia. But I think he's probably recused himself from the whole investigation, so it's not clear he can't. In any event, Attorneys General don't really have power over day-to-day civil servant assistant U.S. attorneys. Remember, the U.S. attorney in the Southern District is also recused, so it's one of his deputies who's conducting this investigation. I don't think there's all that much the president can do here to stop the investigation. I think people who support President Trump ought to hope that the businesses were conducted entirely above board. Or if there are minor violations, they're corporate violations, not personal violations. But the president has to be focused on this, concerned about this, and the legal strategy has to be looking at the Southern District more than looking at the Mueller investigation, because the defenses to the Mueller investigation are constitutional in nature, and the president can't be indicted. But the investigations in New York don't have the same kind of constitutional defenses.
Well, I think the American people want him focused on the country, but you're saying he needs to be focused on this. Thank you, Professor.
Well, he has to do both.
He does.
He has to do both.
He's got to get a legal A team.
Yep.
19 minutes before the top of the hour. That was Alan Dershowitz. Now this.
Guys, look at the Southern District first, like Dershowitz said. Why? because Trump has no authorization over that. He can't use his presidential pardons. That's where they're going to run into trouble. I tell you, when the tax returns come out, the ball game's over. But guys, we had showed you a clip earlier about Mark Morano and plastic. So Judy, play that. I'm going to talk over it. Guys, there's a big problem. And Judy, you're going to play number 20, right? No,
Take us through this.
Yeah, okay, good.
How exactly are drinking straws supposedly killing the planet?
Guys, once again, this is an issue.
Plastic.
The Republican Party wants to make out of plastics. Why? Because plastic is made from oil.
Plastic has brought to us
so the same guy that was the climate denier, Mark Morano, now doesn't want you to use now wants you to use plastic.
The idea is that plastic's bad, the straws are horrible, so everyone wants to ban it. You have Starbucks banning it. You have other major companies. You have the United Kingdom being the first major country. Now, the first one in Europe, I should say, banning straws. California, cities in Seattle. So this is continuing. The idea is this is bad for the planet. It doesn't biodegrade. It's we have to send it far away to recycle. And then it turns out that actually these plastic, because of the recycling laws, it's all going to countries in Asia, and 5 of the countries in Asia have the biggest disposal problem. They're ending up dumping it in the ocean.
Now,
so this is part of the problem. We send it off for recycling.
See how they just make stuff up, guys, and then we sit there and guys like Uncle Joey and Kenny Johnson repeat it.
However,
why? Because they listen to Mark Morano.
In the case of Starbucks, that they're actually using more plastic in the replacement for the straws with their new lids, and we're also finding that the replacements for straws, biodegradable and other things, aren't good. They're not great in landfills, and disabled advocates are complaining about it because they dissolve in liquids. As you would imagine, the substitute isn't as good as the original. It's sort of like the sequel. So the replacements they're trying to mandate on people aren't working.
Man, what is this guy's kids gonna say to them? Say to him later in life? Dad, what did you do for a living? I was a denier. The fossil fuel company paid me to deny. But guys, Ronnie Smith put up a clip, and this is on yucca, and yucca could be the new plastic. So Judy, 21 please, and then we're going to run the credits. But guys, look, Ronnie Smith put this up. The guy that can't stand seeing somebody kneel for the flag at a football game. But yet he's starting to get the idea that plastic is bad jazz. That a boy, Ron. I knew you'd come around. It ain't easy being a Republican. Hey guys, I do have some bad news though. Cindy Joyce said she's familiar with the product and it smells. So if you can deal with the smell, then you don't have to worry. An extra minute. All right. There is a God. See that, guys?
They take up to 200 years to decompose.
Guys, you ever see plastic bags stuck in trees? You know, you drive by and you see plastic bags stuck in trees. Not funny. It's not funny. And you know, now that we're starting to become aware, it's time to do something about it, right? And guys, we can. It only takes one generation to make change. We've proved that time and time again. So guys, we're going to, you know what? We're going to give Judy a promotion. I'm serious. We're going to give her a promotion, and we're going to make her director, and we're going to get her an assistant. So the assistant can sit in the chair and push the buttons, and Judy can sit there and say, ready, clip number 15, take clip number 15. And it'll be like clockwork. And Kurt, well, maybe we can get Kurt in on the action. How's that? But guys, I want to thank everybody. We had a lot of fun. And I want to thank Marco. Marco took good care of us with the pizza for tonight's show. Thanks, Marco. And guys, like I said, we won't be here next week because it's Labor Day. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.